everybody, I hope you're doing well and welcome to the platform of CodeChef. Okay, so today we're gonna be solving the problem bright number. The difficulty level for this problem is Cakewalk and there are no prerequisites required whatsoever to solve this particular problem. This is your educator Ansh and I hope you like my video. Let's proceed to the problem statement. Okay, so first of all, it is my humble request to all of you to kindly read and understand the problem statement carefully before moving on to the solution. Now, let me just summarize the entire problem statement for you all. So, basically, the problem is saying that for each my test case, T, you will be given a number n, and then you have to print yes if that number n is an interesting number. Now, what is an interesting number? The number is interesting if it contains the digits 1729 occurring together inside that particular number. So what I mean by that? Consider the example test cases. Here my 1729 is occurring in the number, so my answer is yes. Here my 0 is in between, like my 1729 is not occurring together, right? So that's why the answer is no. Here as you can see my 1729 is occurring as the last 4 digits, hence the answer is yes. And again here as you can see my 1729 is occurring in the first 4 digits, so the answer is yes. So if my number contains 1729, then the answer should be yes, otherwise the answer should be no. This is what the problem is asking, right? So how we'll do this particular problem? Simple, what we can do is, we can input my entire number as a string, right? And then we'll traverse in the string and we'll check whether my s, like basically if 1729 is occurring or not. So basically by putting the necessary condition, and then idea will be if my s of I is equals to 1, my s of I plus 1 is equals to 2, my s of I plus 2 should equals to, sorry, my s of I plus 1 should equals to 7, my s of I plus 2 is equals to 2, and my s of I plus 3 should equals to 9, right? So if this particular case is satisfying for any particular digit I, obviously considering the border conditions that my I will obviously be not the last digit or any other digit. After considering the border conditions, if I get one of my conditions such as s of I equals to 1, s of I plus 1 is equals to 7, s of I plus 2 is equals to 2, and s of I plus 3 is equals to 9, then I'll get my 1729 together, right? So we can keep a flag that will initially be something as false, and then if we'll traverse in the string and we'll check for this condition, if this condition is satisfied for any general I in that string, after checking for the border conditions, we'll initialize our flag as true, denoting that 1729 is occurring in my number. And yes, so finally in the code, if our flag is true, then we'll print yes, else we'll print no, right? So this is the idea for doing this particular problem. You'll get a complete understanding of this approach when you see the coding section. So let us proceed to the coding section. Okay, now let us try and understand the code for the following problem. So here I entered all my necessary header files. Then in my main function, I initialize t as the number of test cases. And then I input t according to the input format. And for each of my test case, I input my digit as a string, not an integer, right? Because we have to check the occurrence of 1729. So I inputted my number as a string. Then I initialize my isBright as a boolean value which is false. Then traverse for the string, and as we discussed in the approach section, if I can get any of these conditions, such as if I can get any consecutive 1729 in that particular string, then I'll initialize my flag as true, denoting that 1729 is occurring in the array or occurring in the string, right? And if I'll check if my flag is true, I'll simply print out yes, otherwise I'll print out no. And this becomes the code for the following problem. Now let us run our code on the sample test cases to see whether everything is working correctly or not. So as you can see, we got the correct answer for the following problem, and let us submit our code on the actual test cases to see whether the code is passing the cases or not. So as you can see, we got the correct answer for the following problem, and yes, this becomes a valid approach to solve this particular problem. Now let us try to understand what mistakes people can make in this particular problem. So here I think the code is quite straightforward, and the main observation was that you have to search for the occurrence of 1729 in a string, right? So if that particular observation was clear, I don't think the code is quite simple and straightforward, and there are less chances of making the mistake if this approach was clear. Yeah, there's the learning you get from watching my video. I hope you like this video. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.